It's your boy Nate the Great coming at you with another live. You already know if you're new to the channel. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. To all the returning friends and family, you already know it's peace and blessings. I'll give y'all some time to tune in case these notifications ain't go out. James number 8, what's going on, my guy? What's going on? Hopefully, everybody is keeping themselves hydrated, especially those in the city. Yeah, back on another heat wave until sometime this weekend. So, for those that are out and about, whether you going to work or whether you dealing with whatever, make sure again that you stay hydrated. Definitely make sure you taking good care of your health as much as possible, especially during these hot days. I know some of y'all, you might have people who suffer with certain, you know, certain ailments, especially when it comes down to this extreme heat. But again, make sure that y'all staying hydrated, keeping a cool rag or a cool towel over your head, and again, just enjoying every moment of life. Kiriko, what's going on, baby? Hope everything going well with you and the hubby. Hopefully y'all staying cool as well too. Uh, Appreciate everybody that's tuning in. Mandy, what's going on, baby? It's been a minute, sis. Hope all well with you. I tried to catch you live the last time, and apparently I missed it by 5 minutes. I don't like these notifications on this bitch. You know this already. Try to at least make sure I see everybody that I know rock out with the boys. So, yeah, but definitely try to keep yourselves hydrated. Definitely try to keep yourselves from being overheated. And again, if you feel you have to go do whatever it is for your benefit and your sake, go do so. First things first, you already know, hopefully everybody having a blessed and productive hump day. It still feel like a Tuesday to me, so forgive me if I sound like I'm a day off. But it still feel like a damn Tuesday. But this is what happens when your vacation is over and you're back to work. But hopefully everybody is having a blessed and productive Wednesday. Yeah, we almost to the weekend, y'all. Hopefully, again, everybody keeping themselves cool, hydrated, keeping themselves on the up and up. Those celebrating birthdays, y'all already know the drill. Another year, another blessing around the sun. Try to enjoy every moment of your day. Try to make the most memories you can. And again, be blessed. Be thankful. Some people didn't get a chance to make it around the sun to their birthdays. Prayers and condolences again to those people who lost family out there in Texas during the storms. And prayers and condolences for anybody who might have lost any family during any of these storms that have been ripping through some of these areas. Like I said, it's not easy to deal with, especially when it's close loved ones. But the main thing I said and the main thing I stand firm on is you can replace documents, you can replace certain items, but you can't replace your life. So again, if you have to evacuate because you're in one of those areas, please do so. Also make sure you checking in on those who might be in those bad storm areas. You never know, they might need somebody to talk to, Simple things along those lines. Always remember to keep that communication line open with family, especially the ones that you really love, And during this time frame right now where you are dealing with the utmost, they definitely need some reassurance and some positive reaffirmations for real, At work, clock out at 5. No doubt. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody that tuned in for the conversation. I believe it was Wednesday. I know I've been on a little hiatus to a degree, but actually no. Let me stop lying. Appreciate everybody that tuned in Monday and Sunday for the conversations. For those that missed it, y'all know y'all could definitely catch the replay. But today I'm gonna keep it kind of light. But I'm gonna also be real about what was needed right now. And right now, safety more than anything. I'm going to say for some of you young ladies out there again, please be mindful and careful of what you're doing, especially in this day and age right now, because anything is possible. And I mean anything. Not trying to be funny style or nothing, but anything is possible as far as danger is concerned. And the worst thing you could have is you being placed in that predicament just because. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to find something I'm looking for. But nonetheless, I'm not thrown off. Because I mean it. There's some of you who might be working late hours. If you know you're going to be working late hours, at least try to have somebody meet you at the job or have somebody at least, escort you home or at least try to escort you halfway home. Because there's been so much shit going on out here. Like in my area, there was, during the 4th of July weekend, there was a lot of things that I missed and I forgot to cover. But in one situation, it was sad because it almost felt like that man downstairs was working overtime. Had a stabbing out here, but also had an attempted grape situation. I hate using that word because it don't sound right saying it. I'm just gonna have to. I'm gonna have to do like I always do, substitute them words. We had an attempted sexual attack on somebody. Now, I don't know if they caught this person or not, but the fact that again we still have situations like this occurring to this day and age, it's something that it's something that need to be addressed and it's something that need to be checked for real. There should be no reason why it ever gets to that point. Now, you do have some people who are sick in the head. And those people that are sick in the head are the ones who have been, I'm sorry, they've been in the belly of the beast because look at what's going on in their homes. Some of these people feel that some of the things they do is justifiable or they think that is normal because this is what's been taught in the home. Some of these people just feel like I'm going to do what I feel like doing and nobody's going to stop me because they're going to fear. But remember this. Karma does come back. And when it does come back, it's going to collect. It's not just going to hit hard, it's going to collect. And it's sad because, again, some of y'all should have enough sense to say, I came from out of a woman. Why would I waste my time, energy, and why would I do anything that I know for a fact is going to be a bad look? I came out of a woman. But yet and still I would be willing to do certain things along those lines just because. No. We also need to step up our efforts as far as, again, keeping our community safe. And the best way to keep our community safe is making sure that some of these young women, especially those who are not out there like that, don't be victims to that type of crime. And some of y'all fools out there fail to realize, at the end of the day, you came out of a woman. So how the hell could you think to cause harm to a woman in that state, in that manner? How could you? And how can you think you justified on that? You're not justified on that. Because now what happens if this would have been the situation there was somebody in your family, one of these females in your family going through it? How would you react? And that's the thing. It's unfair when you got people who are just that that hell bent on causing pain and destruction in somebody that they will go to the lengths to do so. Call it, baby. Fellas, we really gotta DD baby. Fellas, we really gotta start and I'm speaking to the fellas that need to hear. We have to start that are actually in our communities that are actually pushing and striving for better, don't become victims of the circumstance. Now, I fully don't know the details on that in particular as far as the attempted sexual attack. But the fact that I felt like it was done only because there was too many distractions going on during that 4th of July weekend. We done had multiple fights, one stabbing, I believe one shooting. So when you got cops that are being deployed everywhere to every situation, even the ones that are stuck on the corners, that leaves a time window for shit to be open, which is crazy. You know, again, these are the type of attacks that they scar people for life sometimes. And shouldn't nobody have to live in a place where they feel like they can't trust nobody. Nobody should have to live in that mind state that they can't trust nobody because a crime was committed on them. And to be quite honest, it's sad because, again, what are you gaining out of that? What did you gain out of trying to attack somebody in that light? You gotta think about it. Prime example, if this person you just try to attack already has a kid or has kids, you are messing up their mindset. You are putting them in a position where they feel like they can't even trust their own spouse, baby father, whoever. Or you putting them in a mind space where they're gonna try to just hide it. They're gonna try to consume all of that and keep it in. But that's not a good look neither. And I would say for some of y'all ladies out there who might have been victims or, you know, anything along those lines, make sure you're going to get help. Seek professional help. If you can't seek professional help, find somebody that you really trust and have that conversation with them. But you can't keep that inside. You can't keep that bottled up because that's not a good look at all. You know, and when it's all said and done, it's going to make certain aspects of your life even worse. You know, like I said, I've seen victims. I've been around victims. I know when somebody is being truthful about something and when they lie. And these scenarios right here, again, these victims, they show the signs of I've been a victim and I've hidden for too long and now I have to let it out. Hold on one second. Appreciate you, serious baby. El Chupacabra. I know I'm supposed to be sub to you, but I don't know what you meant by throw the baby. But if you came in here on some troll level, can't rock with you. Sorry, we can't. That's the one thing we not going to do, especially during these type of serious talks. We ain't going to play games. As a matter of fact, I'm going to find out where I remember you from. But, nonetheless, back to the conversation at hand. These are scenarios that you can't keep bottled up, ladies. Especially if you have been a victim already. Can't keep it bottled up. Because when it's all said and done, it's not going to look good on you at all. It's not going to look good on you because, again, you are going to probably lash out at certain people. You're going to keep your distance from people, even to your own family. And they ain't even do nothing. Again, I've been around victims. So, again, you know, there's certain things that once they start getting into that, there is no way of getting them out unless they really have that support system. Serious, baby. 2 piece, baby. And this is what I'm saying. You gotta start combating some of these problems so it don't become a major issue. I feel that any dude who's willing to try to force that type of scenario and force that type of issue on somebody, y'all should be castrated. Sorry to say it that way. And I'm a man saying this shit. Because there's nothing manly about trying to pursue or force something on somebody that they don't want. It's crazy. How do you think that shit is going to look when it's all said and done? In the long run, you're going to end up getting that karma because y'all got to remember, and I'm saying it as a public service announcement to those who need to hear it. Those who might be thinking about trying to get on that level. Those who are thinking about this is what I'm going to do regardless to how anybody feels. Guess what? Again, karma comes to collect, nigga. Remember, when your ass does get caught, you got to go through that system. And what you think half of them men in there are going to do to you? Exactly. They're going to do the same thing you just did. They're going to definitely make sure you feel exactly what that victim felt. I can remember a story when one of these teachers had got arrested for, there wasn't no consensual, no none of that. You did the unthinkable to a student, and guess what happened to you when you got up in there? They stuck a deodorant stick up your ass. Sorry to be graphic, y'all, but it's a telltale for a lot of these people that need to hear it. Some of y'all think it's cool until that karma comes, and then guess what's gonna happen when your ass get locked up in that system and they find out what you in there for? You either gonna have to go on that PC yard, or you gotta fend for your life every day. Because it's going to be an attack on you every day just for the fact that you're in there for that type of crime. Not fair. That type of distress on somebody that hasn't done nothing to you. The sad part about it, I say it, is because I'm saying it from two different perspectives. The ones who are not out there, who are not living a certain life, they don't deserve to have that type of crime happen to them. That's just like if an innocent woman is coming home from work, she shouldn't have to worry about possibly being sexually attacked and robbed at the same time. And this is what I'm saying. If you got that mindset that you would do that to anybody of any age, you don't need to be in society. Your ass need to be locked up or sent away in isolation for the rest of your days. That's how I feel about it. Because ain't no real man gonna put themselves in that position to hurt somebody and then hurt their own lives. Put themselves in jeopardy. Gotta be kidding. So this is why I said when it comes to certain situations, especially if you know you in the vicinity, if you know you could be that possible one to help out or stop and avoid those situations from happening, then you do so. And I ain't saying just jump out there and risk your life, no. But be smart about it. If you see certain things happening, even if you feel you can't do much, try to call the authorities. Do something. Frankie, what's going on, my guy? Because it's unfair. You gotta think about it. There are situations where some of these women have been sexually attacked, and then guess what? There's a pregnancy behind it. Now, what you think that woman gonna do when it's all said and done, and she finds that out? In some situations, she might abort the baby, but then in other situations, might just keep the baby. But guess what? That's gonna be kind of like a catch-22. Because nowadays, the reminder that this is what happened to me and this was the result of what happened to me. How do I get past this? How do I let this child know that this is what and how you became? It's going to be hard for people. And again, that's the worst thing in the world is when you can sit here and cause conflict on anybody like that. Now, some people would be drug induced because they out here doing whatever, mixing whatever, and don't care about their own selves. So, of course, they're going to do something like that and don't care about the person's status. That's still no excuse at the end of the day. It's still no excuse for these type of crimes to happen. And then in some situations, you got people that are walking around your area throughout the whole day. You know that they up to no good, or you know that they got, jackets like down to their belt, and you just letting it slide. No, I would be watching that person like a hawk because again, if you done been implemented or implicated in one or two situations that keep being the same one, nah, I gotta watch you and make sure you ain't up to no good. And I think that's where we gotta start getting to a better place of understanding. Like how do we protect our our daughters, our nieces, and our aunts, and anything along those lines? Again, how do we protect the women in our community from being victims of that type of crime? And if they already became a victim, guess what? We still got to stand on business, which means that person that caused the harm, they gotta feel that same pain. They gotta feel that same justice that they supposed to get. You think back in the day, if certain things like that happened among certain folks, you think niggas wasn't whooping ass? Man, listen. If anything, you have families begging us not to fucking pull the trigger. Shoot. It's sad that again, it's some of these scenarios that are taking place, and then guess what? Again, it starts from home. What is being taught at home? What do they deem as normalcy at home? You know? And the sad part about it, to be honest with you, I can't just blame on men either. Because there are some women out there who are doing the same exact shit. It's just on a different scale. You out here being a predator to men who are younger than you. And it's same thing with some of these men. You're out here being predators to women who are either younger than you, older than you. It doesn't matter. The fact that you're being a predator and you have that mindset to say, I'm going to do this, and I don't care about how anybody else feels. I don't care what kind of damage I cause. No. You motherfuckers can't be rehabilitated. So when it comes down to those scenarios, if you don't get justice by the law, I believe in justice by the people. Street justice more than the regular justice. Why? Because again, these type of attacks shouldn't happen. You know? I think that's the problem now. We're not standing up the way we supposed to stand up to some degree. Where, like I said, our communities was based and focused on keeping everything safe. It don't seem like that to a degree. Again, it's that mindset of, oh, if it ain't mine, if it ain't my family, fuck it, don't matter. No, it should matter. Because what happens if it does hit close to home? What happens if it does hit somebody in your family, male or female? What you gonna do then? Listen, you got situations where everybody's supposed to be on point. Because you got men out here not just doing these type of attacks to women, they also doing it to men as well too. So what does that tell you? It's the mindset that we gotta be focused. And the minute we think something like that is taking place, we gotta jump in and we gotta stand on it. You think you gonna be able to live around people or walk around people and you doing the shit you doing? Nah, man. So no doubt, you already saved something for us. We hungry. We hungry. We hungry. Whatever you making, we hungry. This is why I said, it's some things you just gotta take a look at in your own community to see what's what. There's some of y'all that are walking around predators who are on paper. You know that's on paper, but they still getting a pass to a degree. Nobody should get a pass, especially when they are documented and on paper. They shouldn't even be in the community. Again, those people who tend to do those type of crimes and don't have a care in the world about it should not be amongst regular people in society. No, they need to be shipped off. Send their asses to a remote island. Let them figure themselves out. I think that's crazy. It's crazy that, again, some people are allowing and accepting certain things to be. Not cool. Because, again, what happens if it hit close to home now? What you gonna say then? How you gonna feel then? You know, for some, it's, I don't care until this shit happens, and then now you want everybody else to care. No, it shouldn't have took for this situation to happen for you to now say, oh, I care. No. Gotta protect these young ones, regardless. You know? Again, you gotta think about some of the scenarios that's happening. Some of these people are being bred because of what's going on in their own homes. Some of these people are probably being raised around those scenarios where there's sexual attacks, domestic violence, drug use. Those are the three things right there that will cause and contribute to somebody being on that level. And it's still no excuse. Because you still have an active mind to say, well, this ain't normal, this ain't what I want, this ain't something I should be doing. Just remember, like I said, karma comes to collect. So if you out here doing certain things and thinking that it's going to be accepted or it's going to be overlooked or you're going to continue to get away with it, just remember you will run into that brick wall. That brick wall will be called justice. So just be prepared for everything that comes with it. If you don't get caught by the streets, you're going to get caught by the law. And vice versa. If you don't get caught by the law, you're going to get caught by the streets. And 9 out of 10, if the streets get you before the law gets you, forget about it. You might be another person up out of here. Because in some instances, you're going to have people who are really ready to crash out and don't care about the severity of anything. Because, again, they want you out of here. They want you to feel what the hell them victims felt. And sometimes you might not even get that easy pass. They ain't gonna just take you out. They gonna embarrass you. How they say it, public humiliation. That's exactly what will happen. Prime example, I told y'all a while back in one of the live streams, I watched a video and these young boys apparently came across somebody who was trying to do something to one of the girls in the community. They taped his ass, they beat his ass and taped him to a light pole. And still was whooping on him while he was taped up. That needs to happen to everybody who thinks of committing these type of fucking crimes without punishment. That's what needs to happen. Bring back the public embarrassment and shame to some people. Oh, you want to play games? Watch this. Watch how we do this. It needs to happen. Because again, you basically are mentally scarring people that don't need it. You know, some of these people are already going through enough as is, and then to add something like that to the mix, that's a boiling pot for somebody to fall apart, lose their dignity. Naomi, baby! For those that just tuned in, y'all make sure you hit that like button. But again, what happened to standing up as a village? Making sure that, making sure that everybody is safe the way he's supposed to be safe. It's the same thing with some of these young men who are victims of robberies and things along those natures, and they not even out there like that. Why should they have to go through a mental scarring where now they feel they have to do certain things just to just to prove that they not a punching bag. Shit is not fair. Not fair at all. You know, that's why I said the village used to be a village because, again, we cared about everything that we knew for a fact could cause damage, cause psychological damage. But now it's like we don't care. We'll hear about it and, well, shoot, maybe this person should have did this. Or how can you try to tell somebody they could have been better prepared when they wasn't expecting to get sideswiped? There's some men and women who got sideswiped out of nowhere, knocked out, not even aware of what happened. How can you tell them to prepare for that shit when they not prepared for it? Prime example, when you know you have people who have been in the system for certain crimes, this is where you're supposed to pay attention. And I'm going to say that even to those part of that damn justice system. Pay attention to who the hell you let in and out. If you bring somebody in, especially somebody who is a danger to the community and themselves, keep their asses indoors. There shouldn't be no parole, none of that shit. No. And the reason why I say that is because, again, it could be a situation where that person gets out and then does the same shit over again. With some of these people, there is no rehabilitation, especially when they've already been in the belly of the beast too long. Somebody who thinks that these type of attacks are normal, guess what? They're going to continue to do the same shit no matter what it is. It's not fair. They're going to keep doing the same shit until they get stopped. For real. So fire too, baby. Come on now. Nobody should have to worry about living their normal routines or living their normal lives just for it to be damaged in a split second, or for it to be compromised in a split second. It's not fair. It definitely ain't fair because, again, these people ain't asking for it. Now, there are some situations that have happened, and I'm still not going to sit here and say that, oh, no, I'm not going to sit here and get judgmental on it. There are some people who have put themselves in a position to have these attacks happen to them. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, that's fully just their fault. Yeah, they got to take some accountability, but in the same token, it's that person who's initiating the fucking crime in the first place that should know better. Prime example, for some of y'all, you putting yourselves in these positions because you're getting with the wrong person. You're sitting here enticing that person. And then now if that person thinks it's something, and now you just pull back or stop, what you think they're going to do? They're going to keep moving, thrusting forward. And it still doesn't give no right or excuse for that to happen anyway. Some of y'all need to understand that when somebody tells you no, fucking, that's what it means. No. That's what it means. No. Accept the word no. But the problem is some people have never been taught how to accept rejection. That's another thing that contributes to some of these scenarios where these people end up doing these crimes. Oh, because they're not used to hearing no. Well, you better start embedding it in these damn people's heads that no means exactly what it means. So when somebody tells you no, they don't want this, no, they're not looking for this, accept it and move on. No doubt serious, baby. For those that might be on the road traveling, or for those that might be on the clock still, again, just make sure y'all keeping yourselves safe, and again, definitely try to keep yourselves cool and hydrated. Yeah, give me 1 second, y'all. I'm still over here multitasking, trying to find something I was looking for. But yeah, it's sad. Because how the hell do you think that that's the fucking right way to go? How? I don't understand how some of y'all could think that these type of crimes are acceptable. And this is what I'm saying. Got to get a better understanding of how to protect and how to keep certain things under wraps. Because again, that could be anybody's daughters, nieces, aunts, grandmothers, cousins. And it's the same thing with some of the fellas. We got to start protecting the young men as well too, because guess what? They'll be victims, if not to a sexual crime, they'll be victims to other crimes. And hence that will turn them out. That will definitely put them in a bad position as far as, now I feel I gotta be turned up because of this situation. Now, how do we expect the cycle to break? How do we expect certain cycles to break when we keep having the gatekeepers, or we keep allowing these gatekeepers to do some of the shit that's being done? Anybody that I feel is down with these type of crimes and type, y'all are the gatekeepers. That's just my overall opinion on it. But we got to be able to break these cycles. Again, for some of you young women out there, and I'm not saying that some of you, some of you are at fault. But in the same token, you got to also remember that too. You got to be careful and mindful of who you placing around you. That's the only thing I could say, is just be careful on who you placing around you. I can't look at you any different, because again, at the end of the day, a crime was committed against you. A crime that shouldn't have been committed at all. But there's some of you who are putting yourselves in these situations because you want this attention. You want to be so hell-bent on, being down with the crew, being down with the clique. But at what cost? Wanda, baby. And that's what I'm saying. You have to remember that. Y'all want to be down with a crew so badly that it's going to cost you your livelihood or your sanity. Wow. That's not the way to go. And then some of y'all who are moving a little too fast. And this is how some of these scenarios can end up happening. You giving off these vibes like you're willing to do whatever, however, with whoever. And then guess what happens? These type of scenarios happen. But again, I can't just fully blame and put the blame on y'all. No, I got to put the blame on the person who's still deciding to commit the crime. Because you have an active mind to say, you know what? This ain't it. Why was I even thinking about that? Once you feel like you in that damn space, you need to go get you some form of counseling and help before it does get to a deep space where you can't get out of it. Just like with some of these young men, again, who are being victims of crimes and they not even in the streets like that. It starts a whole nother cycle, because now this person feels, I got to get the gun. I got to get this, and I got to definitely let people know I ain't the one to be played with. And again, more violence and more destruction that's happening. In some situations, there are people who have taken their own lives because they've been victims of these type of scenarios. And again, they can't deal with people who are being insensitive to the scenario, people who probably might have laughed at it, people who ain't bothered to help, or sometimes it just plagues their mind. Imagine being a victim and then almost every night you're having the same type of dream that you're being attacked again, over and over again. You don't think that will drive somebody crazy? Drive somebody off the wall? It will. Dagmar, baby. And I'm sorry, but this Frugal, baby, what's going on, baby? See y'all up in here. That's all I said. Got to get back to that notion of protection all around the board, even down to the mental health. Because guess what? That will definitely scar somebody's mental. This will mess around and have a whole family that's distraught behind that. And I would say for anybody, again, who's been victims of those crimes, please get the professional help that you need. or at least have somebody that you really trust that really is going to help you and sit down and talk about it. It's necessary because if you don't talk about it, if you don't get these things out, it will definitely take a turn for the worse. So all the young men out there who might have been victims of certain crimes, same thing. You got to talk about it. You can't just hold it in, and you can't just let it bottle up and and fester up inside of you, because now you're gonna end up making an irrash decision that could jeopardize or mess around and possibly put you in a bad scenario for the rest of your days on this earth. Again, in some instances, it's almost like repeating the cycle. The goal is to break away from that. Again, there's some of y'all who got to stop putting yourselves in these precarious positions, and I'm going to say it in this level. There's some of y'all who, again, you'd do anything just to be down with your squad, be down with your friends, even compromise your own safety. So God forbid if something does happen, yes, it's still going to be that person's fault who initiated it, but you also have a fault to play in it as well too, because this is what you was presenting instead of presenting your real self. I'm going to say this in the best way I can say it. You don't have to lie to kick it with people. And you definitely don't have to do something that you know for a fact you're not really ready to do. There's some of y'all who are presenting yourselves like, again, you're ready to do anything with anybody. But then if the situation occurs and now it's getting too hot and heavy, you want to pull back. You should already have a mindset to say, in order for me to avoid a situation like this, let me make sure that this person I'm talking to or this person that I'm dealing with isn't on that type of time. Let me make sure that regardless to what's going on, that person is going to respect everything. Respect me as a person. But see, some of y'all put yourselves in this position by not respecting yourselves. Like, why would you want to be around a group of people that obviously don't care about their own safety? Something you need to think about. And again, the minute us as the village realize that certain things have happened, and once we done gotten word, we supposed to stand on it regardless. That's like me if I had a child and my child got robbed out here in these streets. Oh, somebody's going to tell me something. Somebody's going to tell me something. Because I'm trying to do all the damage control I can do to make sure my son doesn't decide I'm going to have to do this just to prove myself. No. You know, I'm going to get what I need to get. Whether it's street justice or justice by the law, it doesn't matter. But there will be something being done. Not just going to sit around and allow these type of things to happen and I don't stand on it. Nah. Like I said, raising my brother from the time I raised him until an adult. Anytime I thought it was something, he already knew what it was and still know what it is. I'll be on somebody's neck for you. Hustle, what's going on, my guy? You know, we gotta be willing to stand on our principles and stand on what we need to stand on. It is unfair. It's unfair that some of these crimes are happening at a higher pace and a higher rate than it once was. But again, that's because we're not willing to stand up on what we need to stand up for. You have some people who don't give a damn what the age is. If they feel they're going to do something to that person, they're going to do it. Just like with the situation with that dude who just came home, and I talked about this. Cowboy, what's going on? Y'all remember I told y'all about that dude that just came home from doing a bid and they had to deal with assault, violence. And sure enough, sliced that lady in her face, or sliced up that lady, cut that lady. Like, and this is an older woman. This is somebody that's old enough to be your grandmother. And the first thing they want to say is, oh, well, this person had a long-standing history of mental health, or this person had a long-standing criminal rap. Well, if you know it's one of those two, that should tell you not to let them revolve through that damn door. Let them stay in there and fucking think about their punishment. It's unfair. It's unfair that's why I said some things that I feel need to be changed. In order for some of these crimes to not happen, no. Keep the motherfuckers in there that need to be in there. If you did something that you know is beyond repair and beyond forgiveness, no, they need to stay their asses in there. Because it's a good chance that when they get back out, they're going to end up doing the same shit that got them in jail in the first place. And some of these people might not be playing with a full deck, we know that. But you got those who are playing with a full deck that still can make a fucking decision. If you could decide what the hell to put on and go outside in and go chill out in, you should be able to have enough sense to say this ain't something I should be doing. You know what? As much as I want to do this, or as much as I'm urged to do this, I ain't going to do it. East Dad, what's going on, my guy? I'm sorry, but it really is sad though. My bad, y'all. Coffee break. Ugh. Shout out to that Folgers Crystals, baby. But yeah, you know, at some point, you gotta recognize that there are some things that should never be accepted. And the minute that we find out certain things are happening, it doesn't matter if it's close friends, family, whoever. Once we find out you doing shit like that, you gotta go. Now, this is the question I would ask. Would some of y'all push away your family if you find out your family was involved in some shit that they shouldn't be involved in? How do you act, or how do you react to that situation? Are you gonna push them to the side, or are you still gonna show them love and try to support them? Because you got some people who will still support the bullshit. If I know for a fact you did something and you might have to put yourself on the registry, I can't support you. I could have all the love for you because you family, but other than that, everything else is out the window. Point blank, period. All the other shit is out the window. Not no hanging out with you, not no none of that. No. We ain't that close now. You decided to do something that you know for a fact was wrong, and you continue to do it. So no, there is no we still straight, we still gonna be hanging out. No. I will always have a love for you because you're family. But other than that, everything else I can't accept. And I wonder how most people would think in that scenario. Like I said, there's some people who, the minute they find out their family members have been part of certain crimes and certain situations, hey, they'll do their damnedest, nigga. I'm trying to help you bring him into justice. Fuck that. I'm trying to help you bring her into justice. You know, things along those lines. How would some of y'all react if you found out you had close family who was tied into shit like that? You know? You know, and that's what I'm saying. You gotta be willing to stand on morals and principles when it comes down to protection of our youth. And this is why some of the youth are growing into some of the destructive things we are seeing now. They constantly been victims of situations and nobody's helping them, or nobody's saying nothing to try to help that situation. You know, and that's what I'm saying, y'all. It's just, at what point do we stop the madness? At what point do we say, you know what, enough is enough? Take that power back. Take everything back. If you're going to be a destruction or be that form of destruction towards our community, we don't need you in our community. You got to go. If you don't mean no well, you got to go. And if we got to force you out, we going to force you out. And we going to stand on it. You know, these are things that we got to think about. You know, it's sad that, again, we got scenarios where things don't need to happen, but it's happening. Just like I was saying in the previous live, we got situations that we need to look at, like even down to our school systems, making sure that the right people are teaching our young ones and not attacking them. And I think that's the biggest responsibility, at least, to do so. Because again, it's not so much as what's being taught at school, at least for them. It's not about what's being taught, it's about what's being done. And there's things that could be done or could be done and you not know it because you're not paying attention to it. That's why I said it's important for a lot of y'all parents, guardians, and whoever to make sure you visiting and checking in on these schools and making sure that everything is up to par and up to status. Once we get back to that notion of a village really looking out the way it's supposed to, some of these crimes that are being committed, some of these crimes that are being reported, it would be less of it happening. Why? Because again, we know what to look for, we know what to expect, and if something don't seem right, you stand on it. Because just like I said, in some scenarios, some of these people are going to slip up under the cracks because they could be coming from another area where there's some things that are just being thrown under the rug, especially when things are not being pursued the way it's supposed to be pursued. Again, for victims of any of those crimes, please open your mouths and say something. A closed mouth don't get fed. And a closed mouth definitely ain't gonna get you the help that you need. Can't allow certain situations to get you wrapped up. Because when these type of crimes happen to a person, it sets them back. It sets them back mentally, sets them back spiritually. You should be able to walk comfortably without having to worry about being attacked from any angle. The minute some of you people, you men and women, find out you got people within your community who's on that type of time, y'all need to be paying close attention and making sure that nothing happens within that confine of things. Because the minute it does, it sets a whole new precedent. You need 1 second, y'all. But this is all I'm saying, y'all. We gotta do better. And we gotta start at least standing up again as a whole community. Take back what's necessary. Give me 1 second again. No doubt, Dad, appreciate you, my guy. You can catch the replay. Again, it's just something that we gotta think about. What's important? The safety and the well-being of our youth and the future generation, or our own personal gain. It should never be personal gain over anything. For real. Because how do you react to that? How are you going to react when a situation occurs and it's close to home? Something that a lot of us men and women have to start really thinking about. We cry about certain things in our communities being broken. We cry about certain things that we not getting help in, or we not being listened to about. But again, we are the ones who are supposed to be doing what's necessary. When we know there's scenarios where there's people who are known or been accustomed to doing these type of things, no, we gotta get them up out of here. And some people will try to say, oh, these people deserve a second chance. No, the hell they don't. Anytime you could think to cause harm and pain to somebody that, again, isn't deserving of that, you don't deserve to be around nobody. If you can't be rehabilitated, or if you can't rehabilitate yourself, you don't need to be around nobody. You don't need to be in these communities at all. Time for you to get up out of here. The minute we think you want some shit, you definitely got to get up out of here. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Because again, these are scenarios that will cause the ripple effect. And again, we should try to avoid that at all costs. No doubt, Dagmar, baby. I already know it's nighttime where you at, so appreciate you for popping in, sis. But yeah, again, once we start standing on the necks of the people who are causing the most damage and the most wreck and effects in our communities, we'll get back to that status where it once was, a village that actually cared. Like I said, in some scenarios, some people are putting themselves in these dangers and situations. But then again, we have situations where it shouldn't happen in the first place. No young child of any age should have to worry about being a victim of a robbery, possibly being shot in a robbery, being a victim of circumstance just because. No doubt, Dagmar, baby. That's what I'm saying. We gotta get back to loving and caring, not just for ourselves, but for our fellow people. Because again, we're gonna have scenarios like this. No matter how we try to fight, we're gonna have scenarios where we're just gonna have people who are doing the utmost. And again, we can't cry about certain things in our community being broken and not being fixed if we're not standing on what the hell we supposed to stand on. We know there's some things that have been implemented that is just never going to change. That's just going to be a part of the society, and that these are things we're supposed to accept. The things that are out of our control is the things we're supposed to accept. But there are some things that are in our control. We just not trying to control it. We just not trying to focus our goals on that. And I think it's sad though, that you're going to have people who are going to be constantly in the midst of a crossfire because of. It's unfair. So I said it's good to try to balance out what we could balance out. See, these talks right here are needed and necessary. Because right now as we speak, there's somebody who possibly could be a victim, or might be a victim to a certain crime. And how do they get past that crime? How do they get past that scenario without snapping, or without jeopardizing their own safety and future? That's what we got to get to nowadays. Got to get to that point of not allowing and not accepting certain things as is. No doubt, James, appreciate you, my guy, appreciate you. And again, what's more important? It's a question that should be asked. And I would ask how some of y'all could even look yourselves in the mirror and not care about what the future holds for you. Or how can some of y'all look yourselves in the mirror and not care about what's happening to some of these youth out here? Even some of the young adults have to go through some of the madness that they shouldn't have to go through. Something to think about though. Because again, how do we get past a certain stage and get to a better understanding of things? How do we unify the community? How do we unify the village again? We got to start standing on certain things and not overlooking or underlooking. And we definitely have to, again, start standing more firm on what we believe in. You know, if we believe that these are the things that are causing a ripple effect, we got to be able to get rid of that ripple effect. But how are we going to do so? Again, we got to stand on our principles. We got to make sure that no matter what's happening, we are down to do what's necessary for the betterment of the people behind us. Again, if we know we got people who have been victims to certain crimes and certain scenarios, we need to try to get them the help, just like they got to be willing to accept the help. Got to be able to talk these things out, because again, by keeping these things bottled in and suppressed, it would only make things worse on you and to the people around you. You're going to have some people who probably not even sure of what's going on because you're not saying that. But I would tell y'all again, in certain instances, just to get the help that's needed. No doubt, James. I appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you. Next time you owe me a pork chop sandwich, just remember that, son. Remember that. But yeah, you know, stand on quality principles that are needed. Stand on the things that we know for a fact we're supposed to. No village is supposed to go, you know, no village is supposed to go without doing something that's meaningful. We're not supposed to just fall for anything and just allow and accept everything. No. When we know there's things that need to be checked overall, when we know that there's things that need to be stood on and forced out, we got to force it out. They could talk about it, but the question remains, what are you doing? What are you going to do about it? You know, leadership in these communities. And that's the thing. There's no leadership. And you're right on that. There's no leadership. But then again, in certain instances, there's just no unity. You can have a bunch of leaders trying to lead people to the right path. But guess what? There's no unity. Some of these people, again, don't care unless it's happening to them. And if it don't happen to them, guess what? They don't care. They show that they don't care. Which is a sad look. Because again, you're overlooking certain crimes, but these same crimes can happen to people in your family. So how does that work? You know? It shouldn't take a scenario like that to make y'all want to stand together now. It shouldn't take these type of scenarios for y'all to start thinking that maybe we should start being more involved in the things we need to be involved in. It shouldn't take those scenarios to happen for y'all to want to band together. Y'all should want to band together for the right situation and the right scenarios, period. P. Moses, what's going on, my guy? You already know, if y'all just tuned in, hit the like button. And if y'all new to the channel, like, share, comment, subscribe. You know, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to some scenarios, it's not even about leadership. A lot of times, it's just unity. Because prime example, like in my area, we got some scenarios. We got leaders out here. We got people who actually give a fuck about the community, who actually try to do something from the kindness, and not so much as just the um the promotion. Some people that do things from the goodness and from the kindness of their own souls, not just because they want fame and recognition for it. No, some people are doing things because they just stand on morals and principles. We got leaders, but when we got people in our own community who don't want to stand together, like prime example, there's some people who cry about gun violence. But when you got these leaders who are coming together, who are trying to combat against it and trying to, spark a wave, y'all don't want to be a part of it. So how do we again expect certain things to transpire if we ain't trying to do what's necessary? Take a stand on things. When you learn to do that, trust me, there's a lot of things that could be salvaged. There's a lot of things that possibly can change. But again, it's solely up to the people. Because you can have a bunch of good leaders in your community, and they might have the people who are following them who are gonna be on that time regardless. But what about the rest of the community? What about the rest of the people? How do they fit into that demographic? If they feel like fitting into that demographic. No, that is a fact. But guess what? You still got some leaders serious who are leading the right people, but it's still the numbers is against them. I've seen some people who have done things from the heart. They have led some good people into the fight. But again, it slowly boils down to the people within the community. Like I told somebody, how could you cry about gun violence, but you're not willing to be part of these gun rallies or these anti-gun rallies, these anti-gun protesters and things along those natures? How could y'all cry about it if you're not trying to be about it? Marlene, baby. That's what I'm saying. These scenarios will never change. They'll never change until the people unite for the right causes. Yeah, my bad, y'all. I done muted myself by mistake. But yeah, it's the truth though. You're gonna have some people who lead a good fight. You're gonna have some people who definitely are leading the charge. They already got the right people behind them. But again, it's a numbers game. Because they could have, let's say they could have at least 50 to 100 people who are gonna be behind them as far as trying to do what's needed. But what about the rest of the 1,000 or the bigger numbers? Like, how is that going to happen? Some people don't want to unify because they feel, oh, I don't want to be with this person. I don't ride with this person. I don't like this person for whatever reasons. But in the same token, what the fuck does personal anything have to do with trying to help save your community? That's good, Marlene. I'm doing all right. My vacation was over yesterday, so back to the plantation. Yes, yes. But other than that, I'm staying cool. Like, hopefully most of y'all are staying cool. I know it's still hotter than the snack box in the chicken spot right now. But make sure y'all keeping yourselves hydrated. Shit, I know I ain't going out until tonight. That sun's still out and it's damaging. But yeah, we could get some of the numbers. But again, you're going to have people that don't want to unify and don't want to take parts of because of personal grudges or, I don't believe what this person believes in. I ain't following this one because they believe in this, and, just stupid things that I feel like, again, separates the whole village. You know what the difference is between the village then and the village now? The village then didn't give a damn about your personal beliefs. They didn't care about who you served as a master, as far as a higher power. They didn't care about your race, ethnicity, background, none of that. You know what they cared about? Knowing that you had character, caring about knowing that you was ready to stand on business when it's time to stand on business, and coming together when you're supposed to come together. You know what makes things worse is when you got moles that's in that building that are destroying things from the inside out, because again, they don't want to see a revolution or a change. It's sad. I hear you, Marlene. Hopefully your day runs well. Hopefully your days will run smoothly. Um, the village now. Oh, I don't mess with them because they believe in Allah. I don't mess with them because they believe in Buddha. What the fuck does that got to do with anything? What does that got to do with doing things in general, keeping the community safe, keeping the young ones safe, letting them grow into adulthood without some of the madness that they're going through now? What does that have to do with anything? What does your personal beliefs have to do with me sitting side by side with you, trying to make something good happen, trying to keep certain elements from rising up? That's what I'm saying. This village now is so focused on me, and that's it. They ain't focusing on how we get back to this place that we once was. How do we protect and prevent these type of crimes from happening to our young ones? Not even just our young ones. How do we prevent these crimes from happening even to young adults or adults, period? No elderly woman should have to worry about being attacked physically on any level. Not even on the sexual premises. No, they shouldn't have to worry about that. It's the same thing with some of these senior men. These men shouldn't have to worry about getting punched in the face, knocked out, robbed for pennies on a dollar, because everybody's deciding they want to be a thug in the street. Nah, I'm saying some things we just should never accept and we should never allow. Any type of abuse towards the elderly, nah, you are part of the danger in the community. You gotta go. Because if you're willing to attack a random elderly person, man or woman, what else are you willing to do? That's what we should be thinking. And that's what we should say, nah, you gotta go. These are the things we gotta look for. If you're willing to do these type of things to random people you don't have no ties with, what else are you willing to do? Or what, how far would you go? That's the thing that we should remember. Nah, we can't allow this to keep happening. And we can't cry them up if we ain't gonna stand on our business. Point blank. Some people overlook that fact because, again, they ain't hear nothing was said. They just going by what's this situation with this person. I ain't gonna get up with this person because of this. I ain't gonna get up with this person because of that. So what are you gonna stand for? What are you gonna do to try to help better your community in more than one way? That's something you should ask. Yeah, you gotta establish yourself to a degree, but you also gotta establish a mindset to say, I'm just not going to fall for anything. That's why they're having a tough time getting people to join forces and get a large number of people. Yeah, it's the truth. No, it's the truth, serious, because come on now. We supposed to be standing together to combat against gun violence. But because I don't like you because we had a fallout, or I don't like you and I don't even know you just because of your personal beliefs, I feel like I shouldn't be. That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen and heard in my life. That's why I said our village back then didn't give a fuck about nothing. As long as you were standing on your principles, you were standing on integrity and morals, and if you was willing to come together, especially for the great cause, come on now. That said more than anything. But nowadays is money talks, bullshit walks. If it's not involving some form of money, if it's not involving some form of publicity or anything along those lines, they don't want to be a part of it neither. And then for some people, it's, oh, I don't want this person in charge of this. I feel this person shouldn't be in charge. Let somebody else take the reins. Let somebody else do this. How you gonna try to determine what somebody is doing when they the one that's doing it? They the one that's putting it together. It don't make sense. Like I said, the things that keep us separated, and I said it before, the things that keep us separated from being a great village or becoming a great village again is the simple things that should have never done in the first place. Religion, politics, money. Come on now. These things are always going to be a bad situation because, again, now these type of things causes war. Politics causes wars in certain countries. Personal beliefs in religion, that definitely causes wars. Come on now. That shit is just, it's starting to become played out now. I wouldn't care if you, listen, I wouldn't care if you followed Batman and Superman as your damn saviors. I don't care. That has nothing to do with me. What are we going to do to try to better our community and try to keep our community safe? What are we going to do to keep the people that need to be, that need to be looked out for safe? How do we protect the elderly from being victims of attacks by these young folks? And vice versa. How do we protect these young folks from being victims of certain crimes? That's the thing. You're worried about cultural differences. That's the truth too. You're worried about cultural differences. You're worried about what somebody, like I said, money, politics, and religion will always be those key scenarios of why we can't build and come together. Because some of you are so fixated on saying, well, this one believes in the Dalai Lama, I can't fuck with them. What does that have to do with us building and, again, getting the right type of resources that we need? How do we stop this cycle from continuing? And again, some of these cycles can be broken if the people would come together in numbers and stop focusing on personal shit. But again, some people will miss out on the general message at hand because this is all they focus on. Focusing on somebody's personal beliefs and background. Gotta stop that. Gotta be able to say, you know what? There might be something that I don't like about this person, but this person seems to have the right mindset, so I'm not just going to make a judgment just because. I might have had some disagreements with this person, but guess what? That's nothing that's going to stop us from at least trying to still come together and create that safety net and that balance that's needed right now. And that's the thing though. People hate to hear this shit now because they feel like, yada, 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 y'all living in the past. No. We're not living in the past, but there are some things throughout the generations that should never be taken for granted. Like, again, the safety and the well-being of these young ones that are not out there in these streets, that are not putting themselves in dangerous situations. Because some of these people can still be a part of a dangerous situation. Like I said, no woman is expecting to leave out of work and get knocked out and possibly sexually attacked or robbed or worse. It's the same thing with the young ones. The young boys ain't trying to come out. They could be coming home from school and got to be in the midst of a damn shooting, in the midst of a damn gang fight, so on and so forth. They shouldn't have to worry about that. There's a lot of things that, again, we should be trying to stand forward on and actually move that goalpost. But the longer we keep doing this me, and it's only me, It's gonna get worse. And before it's all said and done, it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be irreversible. You're not gonna be able to do nothing because guess what? It's already done took place too long. So what are we gonna do from here? You know? That's a question that should be asked. Where do we go from here? How do we make things better? And I think that's something that, some people need to come together on. Have these talks and discussions. Have these forums. Because again, you're going to have some people who are going to lead the charge. They're going to have the right type of backing. But again, the numbers need to be equal, if not greater than. So we could actually stand a chance and move in the goalposts. Prime example, like I was saying, even down to the simplest things you can do to try to help in your community, right? It doesn't take much to get it started. Don't take much to get it started. And then again, it's about just standing on the principle. Standing on it. If you're going to do something because it's good, you're going to do something because it's coming from the heart, then continue to do so. My heart goes out to anybody who, again, has been a victim of those forms of circumstances. Because, again, it takes a toll on you mentally. Again, it's time to shift the tables and shift the thing to ours. Shift it to our liking, so this way we could definitely start making those focal points of change. We got to be willing to say, you know what, this is more important than this. This is definitely more important than this. It's mostly our melanated people that are always complaining about things. No, it's a fact. That's a whole fact right there, serious. It's again, we have ample space and opportunity to create and do things on our own. But we got to get out of that selfish mentality. Now, I'm not going to say it's all of our melanated folks, nah. Because we got some melanated folks that could work with damn near anybody on any level and try to make something happen. But we got those who are the main ones crying and moping, but they ain't trying to come together for something better. So again, how do we expect certain things to change when we ain't trying to be a part of the change? We only trying to be a part of the problem. And we continuously being a part of the problem. It's not just lift every voice and sing. No, we got to lift each other up and come together. What's more important? The well-being and the safety of our families or our own personal gain. And for some, it's always going to be their personal gains is more important. So I would say this today. If your personal gain is more important than safety and safety measures, don't expect certain changes to happen. And don't expect people to come and try to help lift you up when you ain't trying to lift yourself up and lift the people up. Yeah, exactly. I know that part. But that's why I'm saying we got to get back to that. We got those who are willing to come together with anybody and put something together, especially, again, is trying to reestablish the village. But we going to have those who, again, going to go against the grain. Why? Because, again, Tupac said it best. Niggas is scared of revolution. That's something that always stuck in my head even from a kid. Niggas is scared of revolution. Real people ain't. Real people are going to stand on what they got to stand on. There are some people who risk their own lives because they believed in something. And we got some conspiracies on a few other things as well too, but I ain't gonna go into that too deep. But it just goes to show you have people who are willing to put their last breath of effort into trying to create and change something that's needed. Why we all can't stand our fucking ground and principles, man? When it's all said and done, it's supposed to be mind over matter. You know, I just feel like, again, there are some scenarios who, that will change. Because at some point, yes, the people will band together. They will be tired of the same old shit happening and no results. You're going to have those who are going to continue to sit back and cry and mope and not do nothing and continue to be a part of the problem until they wake up and realize that they are the problem, and until they realize that it's not just about me. We're going to continue to have certain scenarios happen on a daily basis. And it's sad because you should want to see better for your community and your village. Especially, again, you all are living within the same village. But, that's something that we really got to look at. And that's something that we really need to start focusing on. Change for the better. But this is something I had to bring out today because, again, you get tired of hearing certain scenarios that are taking place and the people are not standing firm on it. Anybody who's a detriment to their communities, anybody who is a danger to their community and a danger to themselves should not be a part of that community. They should be exiled the way they're supposed to be. Exiled. Because we can already tell with some of these people, there is no rehabilitation. There is no, I could change. You're just going to continue to do the same thing until you get put down permanently. Again, for those that need to hear it, how do you expect change within your village and your community if you're not willing to be a part of the change? And until you are ready to be a part of the change, you can't expect anybody to come in and swoop in and do anything. Again, we should be united on all fronts. Because that's the most important thing is, again, unity. Unity and strength in numbers. But when we willing to not unify because, again, we so focused on personal gains and personal scenarios, we're going to be stagnant. And nothing will ever change. If you want change, you got to be a part of it. You got to be willing to say, you know what? I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to sacrifice this. I'm willing to compromise with this just to make it happen. Start being more involved in your community politics that you need to be involved in. When they start having these anti-violence rallies and things along those lines, be a part of it. Again, change the trajectory of things. Start being more involved with your community the way you're supposed to. And maybe, just maybe, some of your points will get across. Leonica, baby. I think that's something that should be looked at. How do we make sure that, How do we make sure that we stand firm on the dangers that could plague us? How do we stand on it? You know? What are we willing to do? And again, in order to change these scenarios. And we shouldn't be willing to throw people under the bus again just for the namesake of anything. No. We stand firm on our principles and we do what's needed again. Because it's about the change. The change that we want and the change that we need ain't that far away. But again, we got to be willing to compromise, and we also got to be willing to say, you know what, this is what we need. This is what's truly important. You know, there's some people right now who are kind of paranoid to a degree. They paranoid because, you know, they want the best for their peoples. They definitely want to make sure that they're not victims of casualties and circumstances neither. But it's hard to keep yourself in a militant ground of things when you got to worry about certain dangers around every corner. And then when you have people who are not willing to stand firm on what they need to stand firm on, it just gives a pass for it to continue to happen. Unfair, you know? And that's the most unfair thing, again, is feeling like you running out of options or feeling like nothing will ever change. Nah, we got to give hope where hope is needed. You know, again, we have to be able to say we're willing to change these things. Like, there's some people who cry about their communities being too violent to where they can't bring the kids outside. But where's this strength in numbers so you can bring your children outside? Where's that energy at towards those that are needed? If you are mad because you can't get your kids outside or they can't get out and enjoy shit, then again, come together, stand in numbers, and let those people know that you're not willing to be taking that type of shit no more. Push out all the negative that you know is fucking up your communities by any means necessary, and stand on it. You know why you got some people out there who don't care about certain scenarios? Because they willing to stand on their principles and not back down. You gotta stop backing down and start standing up more. Raise the awareness level more. You know? Show people the blueprint on, again, how to unite for the right reasons and not fall victim to the nonsense. Now I'm saying, you know, there's some of y'all who will continue to cry and mope and not do nothing. But don't be surprised when no changes occur. Don't be surprised when you still getting the same outcome. Because this is something you pushed for. You didn't think to say, let me stand on my grounds and let me do what's needed. You know, but I definitely just wanted to have this convo with the people. I felt like it was needed. Because again, the younger generation should not be victims to specific crimes, especially those crimes that could cause a mental break, a mental lapse, or even change their whole psyche and their perception of life. Nobody should have to walk around in natural fear that something might happen to them as soon as they go outside. They shouldn't have to live like that. I think that's something that people should think about for real. You know, how do you expect things to come together when you're not willing to come together? Think about what was said today. And hopefully it did reach somebody to say, you know what? They absolutely right on this. We got to start making the adjustments. We got to start being the ones that are out there on the field the way we supposed to be. No type of crimes like that should go unpunished. No. Nobody should have to worry about losing anybody in their family that's a loved one, especially someone who's not in streets, due to all the negative shit. You know, nobody should have to worry about being victims of attacks. The elderly should be able to live their golden days without having to worry about too much unnecessary drama and unnecessary robberies. Anytime we think that somebody is an abuser of the elderly folk or has done some form of abuse to somebody elderly, they're the first ones that should get kicked the fuck out the community. Because if you would attack somebody that's old enough to be your grandfather, what else would you do? And how would they feel if their elderly folks and their families got attacked? I believe they would go off the fucking meat rack. So how you think somebody else is going to take it? See, these are things that some of these people don't think about. Because again, it hasn't happened to them. But when it does, like I said, karma will come to collect. And when it does, it's going to collect so much from you. That's why I said, you know, you got to take good with the bad, sweet with the sour. Get all of that. But there's some things that will always leave a sour taste in your communities and in your villages because, again, you're not willing to stand on it. If you could sit back and allow these type of people to be lingering around in your communities knowing that they possibly have been instigators to certain crimes, nah, you just as guilty as them. There's no way I could be sitting around somebody that I know for a fact has that type of jacket on. And nobody should accept it. Because my thing is this, if those people ain't accepting that shit in jail, why would you accept it in the community? And again, I would advise anybody who's been a victim of any of these crimes I was speaking about today to please stand up, please voice your opinions, please voice your stories, and get the proper help that you need. It might not be easy to deal with, it might be hard to talk about, but you're gonna have to talk about it at some point. Utilize the resources that are available to you. Stop thinking everyone is against you. Facts. Utilize what resources are around you. I've said this one time before. We still got resources right now that's not fully out of our reach that we could actually be standing on. We could be using that to our benefit. Like prime example, we use this internet, we use these platforms as a way to get to the people, right? Some of y'all should utilize your platforms for bigger and better things outside of drama and negativity. Some people are using their platforms to expose the hypocrisies of certain things, and that's respectable. Especially when it's a damage to your community. It's respected. You know, you're doing what's necessary. You're putting that shit out there like it's supposed to be. But then there's some of y'all that just You're not utilizing it for the best purposes. You know, how do some of y'all expect certain things to change when you not willing to bring the change? You know, this is one way to utilize your platforms and utilize your freedom of expression and speech. But some of y'all will turn your eyes and turn a blind eye just for a damn dollar, which is the sad part about it. Because it should never be about the money. It should be about the overall process, and it should be about the overall bigger picture. How do we avoid some of these things from being serious attacks on our communities? We got to utilize our platforms better. That's my opinion on it. But again, something that should be looked at. We got multiple angles and multiple avenues to make our voices heard, make our concerns heard, and it could actually bring the numbers together. You got some of these unity leaders who are actually taking their time out with the social media again to try to bring the people closer and bring them together. Hold on 1 second. My bad, I thought that helicopter was about to start flying over my building, y'all. I do not need to hear that shit. Not today. I've been saying this as well. Application is humongous. A lot of air time to get your man. Yeah, exactly. You know? And it's not just this app right here. There's multiple platforms for people to get out there and get their shit out there. You know, again, it's about how you utilize the platform. What is your goals? What is your intentional goals on it? And how do you plan on, again, accelerating and, and exceeding? Solely up to you, though. I honestly feel, again, in order for certain changes to occur, some of y'all need to just utilize your platforms in a way that's going to be conducive to how things build on your end. You feel like you could reach the masses by speaking and getting out that awareness. Continue to do so. See, me, I utilize this platform for a multitude of things. One thing I could say is not about money. It's just about the awareness and getting us back to a mind state of critical thinking as a community and as a village. My message might reach out to some. To others, it's going to be in one ear and out the other. There's others who probably will not get the message right away or probably won't get the content right away. It's all good. That's a part of the business. That's a part of, again, trying to elevate and raise the awareness. Like I said, I done been to the promised land and back when it comes to certain scenarios. And again, it wasn't even about that. It was just about, again, doing what I felt is right and still feel is right. Some people might not agree with me, the person, but so fucking what? What does you not liking me got to deal with coming together for a strong message, coming together for that awareness? Like I said, you're going to have people that don't like you and don't even personally know you. That shouldn't stop you from doing what you're doing. And that shouldn't stop you from being the best you regardless. Like I said, It's about what you stand for. I could have done multiple things with this platform. But again, I had to think about something. What's more important? What is exactly that we actually need? Oh, we need more people to be standing firm on what they stand firm on. We need people who actually are going to bring something that's worth it. Prime example for some of y'all been around when I was going live at least 3-4 times a day. You can't say not at one time throughout them damn lives that it wasn't a conversation book. And it wasn't something that we didn't reiterate on at some points. No. You're going to always have these talks because, again, we're going to have scenarios that keep re-popping up. Even when you're trying to bring things on a safety tip, we still got certain situations that could happen, again, that could cause a damper on our community. So how, again, do we prepare for these things? Like I said, once we get to that mind state of not being selfish and just bringing the numbers in a more unified state, oh, trust me, you're going to see the difference. Because some of these situations that are happening to our youth, some of these situations that are happening to our young adults, some of these situations that are happening to our elders, it'll be less of a scenario because it won't be allowed. I only had one situation where I almost had to put somebody's lights out, and that was because I stand firm on that shit. Let you think you gonna do something to my grandmother or anybody in my family that's elderly and think I won't pluck your lights out, I will. That's because I stand firm in that, and I believe in that, not disrespecting or definitely not harming anybody that's old enough to be my grandfather, my grandmother. Shit. I'm not gonna have that. Only at one time when somebody actually said something crazy out their mouth, I'll slap your grandmother, and your grandmother will be crying at your funeral, my nigga. And I don't even need no weapon for that, just to whoop your ass. So, you make that decision if you want. Once we hear people speak like that, oh, I'll do this to this person, and you know these people are older, now you gotta look at them funny like, and what the hell you think gonna happen when it happens? What you think gonna be the outcome when you think you gonna do what you gonna do? What you think gonna happen to you? And it don't even gotta be by the immediate family. What you think gonna happen when you talking about you gonna do this to somebody who's a pillar of the community? You gotta worry about who the hell coming after you afterwards. That'd be like me saying right now, slap the shit out of an old lady, and I'm not expecting nothing to happen from anybody. Oh yeah, I'm gonna expect it. Because you're gonna have some people that just not playing that way. You did what? Or you thinking about doing what? Watch this. You know what I'm saying? There's some things that people feel that they safe in saying and doing because we not checking it. Nah, we gotta check it. Anytime you can say something that again is a detriment to the community, you need to be checked or pushed the fuck all the way out. Period. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You gotta go. Because we can already see how far you willing to go. And you don't care. So once we see you don't care, that means you shouldn't care about being excommunicated from the community. Goodbye. Have a good one. You know, I'm just saying it from this standpoint today because I feel like we are definitely behind on certain things. Yeah, we behind on being unified. And again, in order for certain things to change, in order for some things to work in our favor, And in order for some things to get back to where it once was, at least as far as the moral compass and the standpoint, again, we got to be willing to stand together and band together. And no matter what, stand on our principles. You know why in some areas, some of the gang violence or not even just gang violence, some of the street violence and politics are not panning out into some of these communities the way it once was? Was because the people stood up. They got tired of feeling like they was powerless, and especially when they the hard workers, they the 9 to 5ers, they the ones who are trying to create the best the scenarios, at least until they can get into a better scenario. But while I'm living here, I'd be damned if somebody gonna tell me I gotta stay in my house, or I gotta feel like I gotta be cooped up in my house. My kids gotta be cooped up in the house because we worried about the violence. We worried about shootings that are happening during the daytime. When again, in all actuality, people need to stand up. Take your power back, man. Y'all outnumber some of these motherfuckers that got y'all shook. What? How hard is it for y'all to say, nah, we not doing this and we not standing on this? So what we gonna do? Shay, baby. And that's what I'm saying. These are things that should never be overlooked nor underlooked. Because again, at what point do y'all say, you know what? We tired of living in fear. We tired of living in a what if situation. We tired of just not doing the bare minimum. If we want certain changes, again, we gotta be willing to stand up and stand firm on it. There is no half in, half out. You either fully in or you fully out. And if you fully out, guess what? You gonna be a part of that scenario that's gonna be getting up out of these communities. Because the only thing you're doing is creating more problems. Right, y'all, just step out real quick, but like I said, at what point do y'all just say it's time to put all the personal petty differences aside and stand together as a village? It takes a village to raise the kids in the community, yes. But it also takes a village of people to stand firm for the safety and protection of the others in that village. I'm one of those firm believers that our men and women should not be moving in fear. They shouldn't have to worry about their safety being at risk because we are continuously allowing the wrong type of people to continue to live and dwell within our community, especially when they mean no good at all. Again, some people might not agree with the things I say. I don't expect you to. Everybody gonna have their different views and opinions on how certain things should work. I'm all for it. But in the same token, you gotta remember, you don't have to fight on the same battlefield to try to make your village and your community a safer one. You're gonna have those who fight against injustices as far as what's going on in our judicial system. You're gonna have those who fight on the standings of our overall safety and premises. You're gonna have those who fight against the gun violence, the unnecessary violence, period. You're gonna have those who are advocates for those who have been victims of sexual attacks. You're gonna have those who are gonna be advocates towards, again, having a better, safe community. You're going to have those who are advocates for better education. You're gonna have those who are advocates for, you know, for better opportunities as far as careers, jobs, whatever. Like I said, there's multiple ways to stand on that forefront. You know, it's up to you though. What side of the fight are you going to be on? You know, and if you're going to be a part of that fight, are you going to stand firm on it? Are you going to continuously do what's needed? Because the minute you don't, you are basically a part of that problem. And you're going to continue to be a poison in your own community. But this was something that I felt needed to be out today. And that's why I brought this conversation the way I did. Again, you might not agree or some of my views and opinions. Hey, we all got different views and opinions. We all gonna have things we don't agree on. But we should have a common ground when it comes to, again, how we protect. And how do we further protect those that are gonna be here even when we long gone. It's about leaving a legacy and a blueprint. See, prime example when it comes to me, my legacy as far as this podcast is concerned is, again, just bringing that thought and awareness back to those who need to hear it. Those who needed a fresh step and a fresh look at things. This is my legacy. My legacy is to continue to try to encourage and also just keep on bringing what's needed, awareness. 22, what's going on, my guy? Again, what side of the battlefield do you stand on? Do you stand on the right side, which is trying to better the community, better the people, and better our way of living? Or do you stand on that side that wants to see continuous destruction and non-growth? That's a question you should ask yourself every day. Every day that you wake up, you should be thinking, what can I add that's going to bring not just value, but also bring substance? These conversations, they bring substance. Like I said, this conversation today was just that. I stand firm on what I believe in. I believe that there are just some scenarios that should never be allowed and never happen. And if it does happen, we need to stand firm on getting rid of and exterminating that problem. But it's going to take numbers. It's going to take unity. It's going to take people to actually say, you know what? We're tired of it. And we're not going to take it no more. Hold on, 22. I got you, bro. I got you. You know, but this is what I was saying on and on. I was going to bring this talk to the stream y'all today, but I felt like I needed to come on in. So in the event somebody is catching this in the short feed, this should let you know that, again, people are going to stand on what they believe in. I stand in what I believe in. I believe that these talks will lead to some form of reform and change, one way or another. And I don't plan on going against it. And I haven't gone against it. As long as I've been doing this content, I ain't go against no grain that I ain't need to go against. I stand firm in my message, and I stand firm in how these things are going to transpire. I can't force you to believe in anything. I can just give you a straight message and hope that somebody actually received it the right way. And if you didn't receive it, then that means that message again wasn't for you. But I also stand firm in what I said too. Not everybody is gonna fight on the same battlefield, you know. Some people are gonna stand on the form of education. Some people are gonna stand firm on these scenarios. You know, it's important. It's important that some of y'all actually wake up. And wake up for the good, you know. Wake up for the better, you know. And I think that's important. Because again, once we get to that level, we can show the people who are coming behind us that nothing is ever impossible. We could beat some of these situations by again just unifying in the numbers. And once we do that, you know, we'll be getting to a better standing and we'll get back to a strong village. Appreciate you, serious baby. And I appreciate everybody who has been a part of this growth. I appreciate everybody who has been standing firm with your boy, even when others didn't. Because again, when it's all said and done, it shouldn't be about personal anything. It should be about what's important, what's being said, what the message is bringing. And if that message is bringing hope to some, hopefully it continues to bring you hope. If these conversations is bringing you something that's going to be good towards your soul, let it be. If you feel these ain't the messages for you, if you feel this ain't the place for you, you can always leave. Sorry to say it that way, but it's the truth. Because not everybody's going to be for your brand, or not everybody's going to be for your building, for your motivation in life. You know what keeps me motivated? Outside of the great people that I've met on here, outside the great people that I'm still, you know, interacting with and actually being supportive of, my motivation is, again, just speaking from the heart and speaking from the soul. No matter how people feel about it, these are my thoughts, my views, my opinions. But some of these things I bring is natural facts. In order for things to change, in order for things to get better, we have to start thinking together. We have to start building together. And even if you're not going to build with certain people, that doesn't mean you still don't build. You still got to figure out what side of the battlefield you lie on. And once you figure that out, hey, sky's the limit. You're going to have some people who are advocates, again, against any form of injustice, especially when it comes down to our educational system. You're going to have advocates who, again, are against the nonsense and the violence. You got some people who was either ex-gang members or still currently a part of a gang, but guess what they're doing? They're not out here polluting and doing the things they once was doing. They reformed themselves and are trying to give those who are coming up in certain scenarios a better light and a better situation to look at it from. And I can always respect that. I'm always going to respect those who are willing to do what's needed. And shout outs again to everybody who has been a part of this build and still becoming a part of the build. Shout outs to everybody who's been truly supporting your boy even behind the bushes. That's the one thing I can never do, serious, is be scripted. Everything I say is just coming from a real place. It's coming from a place of not just concern, but it's also coming from a place of future growth. And I believe in some scenarios, the future growth will definitely shape and pan our scenarios for the future. What's stopping us from being unified is, again, certain politics. But we got to start eliminating that process. What's more important? The future and the safety of our generations to come, or our own personal greed and gratitude? Like I said, some people will gravitate to the message, some people will gravitate to what's being said and what's being done, others won't. The ones that won't, hey, I can't say nothing. Maybe this ain't the battlefield you want to be on, but that don't mean that you don't necessarily want to be a part of some form of change. You just got to find what fits you best. And then once you start building, you start building a network the way you're supposed to. But again, you got to do it because it's a necessity. You have to do it because this is something you feel is needed. Riders, baby. My bad, y'all. I had to take another coffee break. Shout out to that Folgers Crystals. I can't promote the motor oil because I can't type in the chat. But hey, shout out to that Folgers Crystals. And shout out to that French vanilla creamer, baby. But yeah, you got people who are doing the utmost. Like, shout out to you, riders. You actually standing on your business as far as what you believe in, taking the community stance. That's something that some people don't want to do because they feel people will look at them funny or look at them different. But what does me trying to do better or trying to help my community do better has to do with anything? Why should I be looked at funny for doing something that I feel is right? Hold on, old head, I got you. And that's what I'm saying. Once we get to that state of thinking, there's nothing that we can't do. There's nothing that we can't change. And the things that we know can't be changed, hey, we just know how to combat it. We know how to make it less of an issue than it is now. Don't tell me no free promotion on that motor oil. Free promotion on the motor oil, baby. And that's the thing, though. This is the one thing I tell you. I'm always going to give you something to think about. From the simplest of conversations to the most uncomfortable conversations. But again, it's something that people should think about. Again, what stops us from being a better village? What stops us from really coming together and beating the odds? We got to have the numbers. And again, we got to be willing to stand on our principles and stand firm on what we believe in. That's what I'm saying. To some degree, we are our own detriment and we are our own enemies. Because we refuse to say, you know what? Regardless to what, I see this person is out here trying to do something, I could get behind it. Like I was telling y'all a couple hours back, and I'm still thinking about it, and it still possibly could happen, even if not this year. I do plan on at some point trying to do something, some form of back to school drive, or something that's going to help those who are less fortunate and those who are just down and out on the rough times. The one thing to remember is you never knock somebody down, especially when they're in their down stages. Because when they do get back up, they're going to remember that. And at some point, you might be the one that get into a down stage. And how would you feel if people started poking fun or trying to make you feel less than? Something you need to think about. Something that should resonate in the minds of some of y'all. We will always be our own enemies because we are not trying to unite. Some of these communities will stand firm and unite and keep certain things under wraps just because, again, They believe in the numbers, and they also believe in what they're fighting for. In order, again, to have some form of change, you got to be a part of that change and not a part of the destruction. No matter what you decide to do in your community that's going to be a positive outlook for your community, just do it from the heart. Never mind the fame, never mind the notoriety, none of that. That's going to come with the territory when everything is said and done. But also remember too, don't allow anybody to step on your dreams. Don't allow anybody to stop you from doing what you feel is right. Don't allow somebody to dictate you what you should be doing when you are doing the right things. Some people might feel, oh, this ain't it. Oh, you need to do this. Oh, I feel you should do this. You could take some advice if they giving you some helpful, critical advice. But everything else, no. You just got to stand firm in what you believe in. Never let nobody knock you off your swivel. You know, whatever you feel is good and a good look for the community, you do it just because. See, if I decide to do this back to school drive and everything, I'm doing it from the heart. I'm doing it because I feel it's needed. I'm doing it because I know at some stages, some people are going to have some problems financially, and they're not going to be able to do what's necessary for their loved ones. So yeah, this is coming from a place of heart. It's coming from a good place in the spirit. This ain't coming for no notoriety, no fame, no none of that. And if anything, I'm gonna be the one splitting the bill. If not splitting the bill, I'm gonna be the one that's coming out of my pockets, because again, I believe in what I'm about to do, and I ain't letting nobody stop that. No doubt, serious, baby. But you know, like I said, it's not hard to take your money and invest in certain things. I could take a check that's about to come to me now and actually go into a spot where they got all the school supplies that I'm gonna need. You know what? Let me grab up about 100 books. Let me grab up about 100 sets of pencils, crayons, rulers, protractors, things that we know the kids need. Book bags, extra school supplies in case they don't got jackets here. Listen, we donating this. We trying to do this. That's the most important thing. It ain't about nothing. Not about free promotion or none of that. It's just about doing what's right because it feels right. And once the people start getting back in that notion of doing things because it feels right, we can start getting back to that notion of, again, positive change and growth. But again, we can't cry about certain things if we're not willing to be a part of the change. And I'm going to keep saying that. And I'm going to keep embedding that into the heads that need to hear it. Nothing will ever change if we don't come together for the right things. Because again, for some situations, it's not hard to invest your own and do it because it's necessary. Like I said, may this lady rest in peace that used to live in my building. She took her own money. And shoot, sometimes she would spend over $200-$300 buying not just school supplies, she buying certain things that are needed. Listen, if the kids got a great report card, they entitled to get this, they entitled to get that. Shoot, sometimes she would even have food as part of the drive. Look, in case you're hungry, come get you a plate. You know, you want to have people who are going to be a part of that. And they're going to be a part of it because, again, this is something that's just right. We need more people like that who, they don't care if they spending out their own money. They doing it because, again, it's necessary. They doing it because this is something that will at some point bring the people together. This will raise the people to say, you know what? If they can do it, we can do it. You know what? We could back these people up. In case they need help with whatever, we can help them out. In some scenarios, it's about helping out the less fortunate. And in these scenarios, when they are doing these type of drives and events, it is helping. It is helping to shape a better future. It's also giving hope to those who probably was hopeless, or giving hope to those who didn't have hope in the first place. Something to think about for the day. I felt like I've held y'all long enough. Again, I was going to bring this to stream, y'all, and I was going to drop the link, but I know some of y'all are busy, some of y'all are still working, some of y'all might have just got off work, some of y'all are moving around and doing your supports, doing your little rounds and stuff. But this conversation was definitely needed. How do we try to shape for a better tomorrow if we ain't willing to shape up for a present now? If we ain't willing to stand together now? Question that should be actually taken into consideration. And for those who are automatically doing what's necessary and off the rip doing what's necessary, y'all continue to keep yourselves strong and firm and continue to keep building and growing. Even if things don't look like it's going to transpire the way you think it should, don't give up on nothing. Just continue to have faith, and believe me, these things will change for the better. And for those who are celebrating birthdays again, may y'all have peace and abundant blessings in another year, another blessing around the sun. Again, continue to enjoy life. Make the best out of every scenario in life. And again, just love every moment of it. We have some people who was unfortunate to make it around the sun again, for whatever reason. So again, be thankful and be happy that you're one of the lucky ones that are still moving around. And again, I appreciate everybody who's been a part of this build, who's been a part of these great conversations, who have been a part of making this content as quality as possible. I was looking at one thing in particular, and this is before I get up out of here. I was looking at something in particular, and they was talking about how some of these things are changing. So I would say for some of y'all that are using AI or using whatever for your channels, don't think that it's going to affect your channel. The only way it'll affect your channel is if you are constantly reusing and recirculating video clips that have already been circling around. And that's like that on any standard. If you are just continuously reusing either old video clips or footages and that's already been circled around by more than one person, I believe that's when you're going to have a problem. And your videos, for those who are trying to be monetized or for those who are trying to get paid for those videos, you're not going to get paid. Some of you reaction channels, guess what? You're going to have to find your own content, your own video clips, and then you use them. There's some of y'all who feel like you're going to have a problem with it, but it should never be a problem. Again, you got to think about what works for you, what works for your platform. And again, you just got to make sure that you're not falling into that category of you're just reusing old content. Bring something that's fresh, bring something that's legit, and trust me, things will definitely pan out for you in the best way, Now I got you, 22. I was supposed to look at that, but I got you. But again, I appreciate everybody that's tuned in for the conversation. I ain't gonna hold y'all much longer. I know some of y'all got things to do. I still got 1 or 2 things I gotta do myself. I could be back tomorrow, definitely. But I'm gonna give y'all the mixture. I'm gonna give you a good conversation, but I'm also give you some good music. So you already know what time it is. But yeah, it's time for me to get up out of here. Hopefully everybody enjoy the rest of the afternoons, evenings, and happy Thursday to all you future babies. I still need my lottery numbers for tomorrow, today. You don't think I ain't gonna be looking for y'all? I'm looking for you. I need to win something, damn it. Which one of y'all gonna give me the good old lottery numbers for today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Yes. Maybe it might just come out. Might just come out. Great conversation as always. And tomorrow I'll definitely be on the stream, y'all. I'll drop the link in case anybody want to chime in and touch in on the topic I'm bringing. But again, hopefully somebody did get something out of this message. And, hopefully we can start seeing the change that's needed. But let me get up out of here. If y'all was new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Shout outs to the replay gang. Shout outs to the Shadow Mafia and the Shadow Babies. Y'all know what it is, baby. And for everybody that was in attendance today, y'all already know that love is love and they'll be reciprocated as such. I don't know how to be fake. All I can do is give you real. And that's all I'm going to do is give you real topics and real bills. Those are good numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Who do we appreciate? We appreciate those lottery numbers that are coming out. Need big sevens, yo, baby. But again, hopefully all of y'all enjoy the rest of your evenings. Y'all definitely make sure y'all keeping yourselves cool and hydrated. Even for those who might be going out during the night, it's still kind of humid. We still in the 90s. So try to keep yourself hydrated as possible. And if you feel you have to do whatever because of your health, please make sure you are visiting what you need to visit. Your local hospital or your local physicians. Make sure everything is on point. Don't laugh and don't encourage my madness serious. You know better. Come on now. Come on now. Didi, don't come in here co-signing with that laugh, damn it. Can't tell you I don't listen. Y'all don't listen. You lucky I can't play my drop on here. God damn it. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoy the rest of your evenings and I'll see y'all moving around. But y'all stay safe. Keep that third eye open. Until the next live, we out of here. Peace and blessings. Don't tell me to leave Didi alone. Shoot. I'm gonna bother both of y'all. Y'all both don't listen. What am I talking about? I'm telling y'all not to encourage no madness and y'all still encouraging it anyway. Damn shame. Damn shame. But y'all stay safe. Keep that third eye open. And until the next live, we out of here. Peace and blessings.